Greetings, welcome back to Pink Odd Bird. Today I'm here to show you how to make 1, 2, or maybe even 3 journals for upcoming October daily. To get started, I'm going to take an old book and take out the book block and set that aside, something I'll use later on. The next thing you'll want to do is measure the inside covers and spine of your book. And now it's that time of year that we've all been waiting for, or at least I have. I want to go ahead and pull out all of my favorite Halloween paper pads, and I'm just going to start picking out a few pages for the signatures of these books. And I am going to be making 3, and I believe I have about 9 pages of this kind of cardstock paper or decorative paper for each book. This is going to be my first time doing October Daily in general, as well as on my channel. So I'm making my books in junk journal style, and that's what I will be using for my October Daily. And I wanted to get this video up preparing for the October Daily in enough time for anyone who might want to join along with me in this process. So there's going to be more details coming about it soon, but I did want to invite you all along for the preparations. Now that I've got all my pages picked out, the next thing you want to do is just cut them down to size per the measurements you previously took for the cover that you're going to use. And if you've got a book that's already made laying around that you haven't used yet in a Halloween style, or not even a Halloween style, if you just have a journal on your mind that you've been wanting to use, then use that for your October Daily. You don't have to make a new book, or you don't have to buy a new book or anything like that. It's super simple, and that's exactly why I wanted to come here and share this process with you, just because it's something fun and it's going to be something for you. So it should be pretty casual and easygoing, because it's going to be a fun place to track all of these great memories in October. Another thing that I wanted to say is, if you are building a book of your own, don't overfill it with embellishments or papers that are too decorative, because it's gonna look really plain to start out with, and that was what I really wanted it to be. And that was something that I actually struggled with, because I'm like, oh, this doesn't look like Halloween to me, but I had to keep reminding myself while I was making these, they need to be plain, because by the time you're done decorating this at the end of October, it's gonna be bursting with Halloween. Now that I've picked out all of my papers and cut them all down to size, I know that I'm making 3 books. So all I'm doing here is evenly dispersing each type of paper into 3 piles evenly. You might be only making 1 book. I'm making 3 for a reason, so I might refer to it this way a couple times, but if you're just making 1 book, that's fine. I'm going to set my piles aside for each of the other 2 books, and I'm going to focus on the 1 pile in front of me. And what I'm going to do with this is start dispersing the papers in this pile into 3 smaller piles because for my books, I'm making 3 signatures. And I did want to note that I'm only putting approximately like 5 large pages and then a couple book pages in each signature, because similarly to not over embellishing this book before we get a chance to journal in it, I also didn't want to overstuff it with papers for 2 reasons. One, because you won't have any room left to kind of embellish it and make it chunky and your own. But 2, because I feel like if this book has too many pages in it, you might get discouraged before the end of October if you don't finish journaling in it, or if you have too many pages left over. Now, because I'm using an upcycled book, what I want to show you here is that the spine obviously is super duper flimsy now that we've taken it apart and taken out the structure that was previously holding it together. But because of that, it's left a lot of overhang on the cover, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not really the look that I wanted to go for with this book. So in a second here, I'll show you. You'll see here when I hold the book at a profile angle, there's a lot of overhang, and to eliminate that, all we have to do is restructure the spine. So I've cut out a little strip, and if I place that right into the spine, it's going to make this spine sturdy, and it will also push these signatures right up to the edge. I know previously I had taken out 3 hardcover books, but I decided to save the third one for another project that I want to make for myself using a super cool paper pad from Michaels. So what I decided is that I'm going to make myself a soft cover journal, and it's going to be loosely based off of the clutch tutorial that I did previously. It's going to be slightly different in that the structure of the cover, I don't want it to be as sturdy as the clutch is. I want it to still kind of have some flop ability, I guess. And so I'm just going to use that green cardstock as the inside base of my journal cover here. So all I've done is measured out enough fabric that will wrap around the entire journal and also give me enough to wrap over as a closure, but also leave enough so that if the book grows to be super chunky, then the cover will, still remain intact. It'll still cover the book. So once you glue the cardstock down to your fabric, I'm just going to cut a little bit of excess off here along the edges. And once I do that, I'm going to take a secondary piece of fabric and use that fabric to line the inside of my journal cover. Now we're ready to start figuring out where our signatures need to be placed. So what I'm doing here is I'm lining the signatures up with the outer left edge of this, because I want to make sure that when the book opens flat, those signatures are going to still be within the parameter of my cover. Then I'm going to stand these up and then take my template for my binding holes and lay that right next to that first signature. Next, I'm going to flip it over, and this is where your signature should go. So you can see here with this example, when the signatures are all laid flat and to the left, they're still inside of the actual journal cover. So obviously from here, you know that you need to stitch your signatures in. And I'm just showing you here that I have gone through, and I'm just making sure that the holes are really reinforced. I'm not going to show the full tutorial for how to stitch the signatures in because I've already done that. So if you're interested to see how these signatures get stitched into the cover, I will link that tutorial for you down in the description box below. But I will add in this super satisfying clip of me finishing up the last signature that I needed to sew in. So as you can see here, the book is fully covered, and if I'm pressing it there to show you that if it grows, there's still space. So here are my 3 books, and we're going to move on to the next phase. Here we are on a brand new day. I'm taking my Prima waxes and I decided that I wanted to use these to zhuzh up the, I don't like that word. Okay. I wanted to spice up the front covers and give them a little pop of color. And these waxes that my friend Janine gave to me are in the perfect colors. I have purple, green, kind of an old antique gold color, and then the Inca gold, which is a stronger gold. So as you can see here, it's already looking pretty awesome, and I thought that this would look super neat on these covers in particular because they have all of the cool embossing. So you get really neat effects with the waxes and then the embossing together. I hope you guys are enjoying this process of me getting my books ready for October Daily. The two hardcover books are going to be gifted away, and the softcover is going to be the one that I'm using throughout this October Daily season festivities. And I hope that you guys will join me. If you think that you might, leave me a comment down below, and if you're enjoying this video of making some books for October Daily, give it a thumbs up. I should also note that I will be back soon to do a proper flip through of these 3 books, as well as more pertinent details and information as it pertains to the upcoming October Daily activities that we will be partaking.
And now it's time to travel into the belly of my cave and retrieve the greatest embellishments of all. Oh hey, look, we're almost at the harvest moon.
Now that we have braved getting those embellishments out of the deep, dark depths, what I'm doing here is I'm taking a lunchbox, and I'm going to use this lunchbox to fill up with some supplies that I feel like I might use for this October Daily journaling spree. And I think that it's a good idea to make a lunchbox or some sort of packet for yourself, because this way you don't feel overwhelmed with having all of your your journaling supplies scattered everywhere, because that makes you less motivated when everything is sitting kind of in front of you and you have some choices that are right in front of you that you can just reach and grab into. I think it makes it for a much easier and smoother journaling process. So I have some other supplies here that won't exactly fit into my lunchbox, and that's okay. I'm just going to, stack that up neatly along with my lunchbox. So I definitely suggest making yourself a little kit. Why do I have paper clips? Well, remember when I said that I don't want to embellish the inside of the book? Well, that's still the case. What I'm doing here is just taking some little pieces that you might have. In my case, it's this old vintage paper, and all I'm going to do is add this into my book as kind of like a supply. So I'm just cutting these down into 3 pieces because I have 3 books, and I'm going to paper clip these inside of my book for ease of use. When I'm journaling, I might want to take a little piece of this here and there. So If you don't have a lunchbox or if you don't want to make a kit, you can add some bits and pieces into your books that you know you'll use for journaling, but don't overdo it. So that's going to wrap it up for me for now. Be sure to stay tuned because you never know what direction this odd flock of ours is heading into. And until next time, toodaloo.